Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MUFC vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I am psyched that you guys are here this morning. I know it's early on a Saturday. It's 7 a.m. my time. Let me know where you're watching from, what time it is, what you guys are getting up to today. I got a few things going on this morning, and then obviously I'm going to be back to catch this preseason friendly against Rangers, second stop on our preseason tour. So let me know if you guys are planning on watching that. Today, obviously, if you haven't been able to tell by the thumbnail and the title and the Twitter link and all that stuff, I am taking a closer look today at a midfielder that we're once again linked to in Adrien Rabiot. French midfielder, free agent. We've been interested in him in the past. We even went so far as to travel to Turin to go try to get him here last summer. Came back empty-handed because that was the norm for us back then when it came to recruitment. But today I wanted to take a closer look at Rabiot. Obviously, we've done a few of these deep dive videos. You guys seem to like them. I love doing them. So today we're taking a look at his career, his numbers, his profile. And yes, I will be taking a look at some of the drama and the controversy that, you know, people seem to really remember when it comes to Rabiot, even though it's been several years. People like to still use that as a stick to hit him with. So I will take a look at that as well, whether or not that's an issue to be concerned about, and then see how he fits into Erik ten Hag's United setup. So before we do get stuck in, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and get involved in the chat, get involved in the comments. If you're not able to catch it live, not a big deal. I respond to every chat. I respond to every comment on the videos because I love engaging with you guys. I'm appreciative of the interaction. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. So according to some reports, Adrien Rabiot could be wearing a United shirt next season. This is coming from French journalist Romain Colette-Gaudin. Did I get that right? Let me know, French-speaking individuals. But reportedly, United have spoken to Rabiot and his representatives this summer. He's a free agent now. There were reports that he's also apparently met with Liverpool, but then Fabrizio Romano has come out today and claimed that that wasn't actually the case. So who knows what's going on? I'm sure that there are many, many clubs interested in him. I've spoken about Rabiot many, many times in the past. If you remember, I've mentioned him in a couple videos. He was featured in my video on my wild card bargain kind of hidden gem signings that I like us to do, simply because of the fact that he is very good and he would be free. I've not been shy about my opinion and why I think that Rabiot would be an excellent pickup for us this summer, mostly, in fact, due to the fact that he's available for free. I think that is perhaps some of the best piece of business that any club could get done this summer, is picking up a guy like Adrien Rabiot on a free. Let me know your thoughts. Not only is Rabiot a solid midfielder who can help out on and off the ball, but he brings experience and leadership to any side that he joins. You know, he's in his late 20s now. He's played at big clubs, PSG, Juventus. He was in the Euros, obviously, for France. He's a good player, and he's constantly kind of starting. But not everyone is very familiar with Rabiot's game. There's a reason that I'm so interested and eager for us to bring him in on a free at Manchester United. So with these reports that we're talking to him again, I thought I'd take a closer look. And yes, again, like I said, I'll address the controversial stuff as well. So let's dive in, take a look at why Liverpool, Inter, AC Milan, and Manchester United are all looking at Adrien Rabiot. So he's a 29-year-old French midfielder. He's very tall, very physically imposing. He's 6'4". But it's kind of like Xerxes, who's 6'3". Rabiot's very, very good on the ball with the ball at his feet. His dribbling is one of his best attributes. And he's very, very good at it. Like I said, typically he can play anywhere in that midfield in the 6 or the 8 role. He's played both at all these clubs he's been at for a lot, because he can do a little of both. He can help out off the ball, like I said, aerial duels, tackles, but he's very good at carrying the ball. So he's very good in that, almost like the box-to-box kind of role, like we saw a little bit of in the Euros. He was all over the place. But he just became a free agent. A lot of clubs looking at him. And again, if you remember, we went to Turin last summer and came back empty-handed. As far as Rabiot's career, so his youth career, pretty much in France. He was all over the place, all these different youth clubs, jumping around between all these little French clubs. He did make a brief stop for a few months at Manchester City's academy as well, briefly. I think that was like in 2008 or so. What else was going on in 2008? Oh, right, that's right, Champions League final that somebody won. Rabiot joined PSG's reserves in 2012. And then it was Carlo Ancelotti, who was PSG's manager at the time, who saw enough in a young Rabiot to promote him to the first team in that 2012-2013 season. What else happened in that 2012-2013 season for all you historians out there? Oh, yeah, somebody won the Premier League. Anyway, don't you love that? I just love when it comes together like that, right? So Rabiot at that time, at a young age, showed tremendous promise, but he wasn't quite ready for the first team, and that's not unheard of for young players. You know, you're in that cusp of kind of what we saw with Garnacho, a little too good for the academy, not quite ready to be a mainstay in the starting 11 in the first team. So you're kind of riding that little boundary there. So as a result, Rabiot was sent on loan to Toulouse in January of that season. So, you know, league on rivals there. He returned to PSG after his loan, and then he was getting more involved in the first team picture. So promoted one and then mid-season, sent on loan, and then comes back and then kind of jumps back into the first team. He was very young at that point still, but he would start actually of his fair share of league matches for PSG over the next couple of years. Then over that time, his average minutes per game steadily increased, as did his numbers. It didn't seem like his minutes were increasing fast enough, at least not for his agent, Veronique Rabiot, who is his mom, as is pretty much academic. We all know what's going on there at this point. Remember in 2015, she famously held an interview with French outlet Canal. She basically said Rabiot wanted to go to the Euros in 2016 and needed to be guaranteed 35 games a season at PSG to achieve that goal. If you remember, Rabiot did not go to the Euros in 2016. In fact, so remember that Didier Deschamps basically decided his squad after the qualifiers, after those friendlies. Rabiot was basically put on standby list on the reserves in case there was a need, in case there was an injury or something. Rabiot ended up telling Didier Deschamps that he didn't want to be a standby, and he pretty much ruled himself out of consideration that Euros. He obviously basically threw a fit that he wasn't going to get to go to the Euros. At that time, Rabiot also held a little miniature interview, gave some comments, basically hitting out at the critics who called him, you know, immature at the time. He was kind of being painted with that brush. And his mom was not being painted in a very polite depiction either. She was, you know, there were a lot of caricatures going around in French outlets of her just pretty much making fun of both of them. It was a whole thing, and pretty much that's where Rabiot started to kind of gain this reputation for basically having an attitude problem. And he didn't help matters either, which we'll touch into in a little bit here. You guys remember all that drama? I remember it, and I think the thing is, like, it happened almost 10 years ago now. It was, 8 years ago? I think people are thinking it was much more recently than it actually was. It was not. It was a while ago. So it was around the 16, 17, 18 seasons, though, that Rabiot really started to shine because of his league play. He got his head down, getting his goals and his assists up. He's getting a lot of Team of the Week nominees and appearances. During that time, PSG typically lined up in that 4-3-3. Rabiot was alternating kind of between this 6 and this 8 role for them. KD, good morning, my friend. Hola familia, he says. How are you this morning? What time is it where you're at right now, KD? Let me know. It is 7 a.m. for me, my guy. And it is, I'm a morning person. I don't seem like it all the time because, like, my allergies are making me a little stuffy and sometimes I'm tired, but I'm up at 6 a.m. Dogs are out, dogs are fed, coffee's made, and we're getting to work already. KD's 1409. Oh, so was that 209? Kyle Lacey, if we can lose McTominay. We'll get there. We'll get there, my friend. Welcome to the deep dive of Adrien Rabiot here. So, again, 16, 17, 17, 18, Rabiot started really to shine. His numbers going up. He's getting Team of the Week appearances in the league. Playing in that 6-8 role in PSG's. His heat map during these years saw a lot of his touches kind of in the middle of the pitch. So just inside either half was where Rabiot shined, basically. It's where he was doing his work. He started also, though, displaying a little bit of discipline issues towards that 2018 season as well. So Thomas Tuchel, who was PSG's manager around that time, famously dropped him and Kylian Mbappe from a matchday squad for turning up late to a team meeting. Obviously, that's a big no-no. We've seen many managers come down on players for that. Ten Hag has famously done that with several players. If you remember, some of the players that have been a problem at United have been a problem for a while. Remember, Nemanja Matic gave those famous remarks a few years ago saying that he and a couple of the older players at United kind of instituted a fine system on their own for players who turned up late. And Sancho was among the biggest contributors to that pool. So it's a common issue with players. I don't have a problem with managers setting the standards, setting the rules, as long as everybody's treated fairly. But in any case, both Rabiot and Mbappe were dropped. And then he was dropped from matches altogether and made to train with PSG's reserves too when he started refusing to sign a new contract. Obviously, he was running his contract down during that time. And as a result, he wasn't involved in the squad anymore. And it came to a head during this time when Rabiot was actually suspended by PSG for going to a nightclub the night that they were knocked out of the Champions League in March 2019, of round of 16, by a certain club from Manchester. Remember that night? Woo! I was almost late to go see a client once because I remember that match went into extra time, and I was almost late because I had to finish and watch that. So priorities, right? And I think after that too, I think a big contributor to that suspension was that he, I think Patrice Evra had tweeted or something celebrating the win, and Adrien Rabiot liked it. You guys, the fact that you get in trouble for liking something on social media now, social media is one of the worst things ever, in my opinion, but that's just me. So Rabiot became a free agent that summer. Juventus signed him up, and he actually has progressed as a player since joining Juventus. As he's aged, and I would say as he's arguably matured, he's been a mainstay in Juve's starting 11. His goals and assists have increased significantly as well. In fact, the 2022-2023 season was kind of peak Rabiot. He actually had 8 goals, 4 assists in the league that season, which is good for a player who plays in like that 6/box-to-box role. They're not necessarily known for goals, but Rabiot's stature and his skill in the air in and around the box is what saw him contribute. He was excellent in the Champions League that season too. He started 5 of those matches, 2 goals, and he was in the team of the week once in the Champions League that season. So it was a good year for Adrien Rabiot. Last season, 5 goals, 3 assists, 6 big chances, 3 times in the team of the week. He's not a bad player at all, as far as just what he contributes to a team. And I think that we're seeing that over time. So how does this translate into raw numbers, basically? I'm going to look at the last couple of years in Serie A since he joined Juventus. Katie, Rabiot's a naughty boy, clearly, so it seems to be overblown. I think it is a little bit overblown. I think that, like, okay, you went out to a nightclub after they lost. Rashford did the same thing, kind of thing. Showed up late to a team meeting. Rashford did the same thing. Garnacho's done the same thing. People do. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying why when it's Rabiot, it's being used as a big reason not to consider him. When it's other players, it's So I think it's when there's little for people to make an argument for, they grab on to any little negative and they cling to that for dear life. It's very normal. Everybody does it, but it's just a fallacy in many ways. So as far as what Rabiot brings statistically, so basically what Rabiot does is he wins the ball and he dribbles the ball. Like I've said, he's very good with the ball at his feet. For the last 3 seasons, his progressive carries per 90 have all been in the mid to upper 80th percentile, which means he's in the top 15% at least. He gets about 2.5 progressive carries per 90, which is a carry where you're moving the ball like 10 yards closer to the opposition goal. You're just moving it up the pitch, progressing possession. His take-ons are very good as well. He's in kind of that top 20, top 30%. His first season at Turin at Juve was his best. He was in the 92nd percentile for take-ons, but it's dropped a little bit since then, but still good. He gets a lot of touches in the attacking area, so he's constantly in the top like 15% for that. So this is where some of his goals are coming from in the opposition box. Some of them are headed goals as well. And he's winning that because one of his best attributes, being tall, being physical, is these aerials. He's in the top 15%, and then last season he was in the top 8% for aerials won. So he's winning the ball. We don't do great on set pieces, whether we're attacking or defending, because nobody's jumping for the ball. It's so frustrating to watch us. Everyone's just kind of like watching the ball go over them. Nobody's going for it, which is why we're so garbage on set pieces. Even attacking, Harry Maguire used to win a lot of these headers when we get a corner kick, but he's not putting a whole lot of them on target. We need someone who can do that. Someone who's, I know McTominay is physical, and then obviously Maguire. Rabiot does that, and I think that it's something that we could always use more of. His tackles are pretty good too. He was more defensive early on when he got to Juve. His tackles were actually in like the top 15%, and they've dropped a little bit. And I think that has more to do with going from being more defensive to being more attacking and getting more involved in the attack, in the build-up, getting more of that box-to-box role, because that's when you also see a lot of those touches in the attacking penalty area go up a little bit more too. So you're getting in Rabiot, you're getting a player who wins tackles, and you're getting a player who will carry the ball forward. Now, whether or not that's what you want and what you think we need is up for debate, because I think that's going to be a little bit more of an opinion thing. But you know how I feel about midfielders who can carry the ball, who can keep the ball, who are press resistant, especially after they themselves win the ball. I think that is a skill that is worth its weight in gold, and I think a skill that any manager would love his players to have. We've seen Kabi Manu do a little bit of that as well. He's very good at kind of just riding tackles, dropping shoulders, beating a man, creating space for himself. And I love that about midfielders. I would love it when midfielders back themselves in those situations to be able to handle it and don't just panic and look for someone to lay the ball off to. That's how you lose possession. We've seen that with Amrabat a couple times. Casemiro does it all the time. He just gets in, and Casemiro will cross it across his own half, which you're never supposed to do. You don't square a ball in your own half. That's not good. And we've seen it causes problems. Rabiot was also incredible for France in the Euros as well, specifically against the Netherlands. I've referenced that Netherlands match a couple of times. He was a force in that Netherlands match. He wasn't great in the following match. I think that was Austria. But so against the Netherlands, he had 97% pass accuracy. He had completed 61 out of 63 of his passes. Danny B, big up. Hey, morning, Danny. How are you, my friend? How's Boston? Rabiot also had one big chance created, completed all three of his long ball attempts, all three of his successful dribbles, 7 out of 7 of his ground duels against the Netherlands, and he made 3 tackles. Like, he was all over the place, on and off the ball. He was really the leader on the pitch in terms of just what he was doing. He didn't wait for people. He took responsibility, took initiative. He was sniffing out danger. He was making things happen. That is the kind of Rabiot that, if you can get on a consistent basis, will be a game changer. He could literally dictate matches when he's in that vein of form, like he was against the Netherlands. And I think that that's the kind of Rabiot that people are not seeing very much of. I see it. And like I said, I just gave you an example of it right there. I remember watching that match against the Netherlands. I was like, wow, where did this Rabiot come from? Why are people so hung up on all the drama and not looking at what he actually does? Because what he actually does on the pitch is really impressive. It's not going to be like a Kevin De Bruyne where he's just constantly creating. He's not going to be like an N'Golo Kante where he's constantly tackling. There's not going to be any one area that I think you're going to see like, oh, he's that guy. He does a little bit of everything a little bit. And that's kind of like what you want. Because he can fill in a lot of holes in a situation, in a squad or anything, and he can do so very adequately. So again, what type of player is Rabiot? So he's very physically imposing, right? 6'4", very good on the ball, wins those aerial duels constantly. He's constantly in like that top 15%. But he's also very calm on the ball. He's almost silky with his movement, with his composure, with his dribbling. And this is all despite having, being so tall, you have a higher center of gravity. You tend to be less balanced, but he rides tackles. He creates space for himself. He's very good on the ball. Again, kind of like Xerxes, like a Benzema, prime Ibrahimovic, in Italy, who is just good with the ball at his feet. He can do that. And that's really, really good skill to have. He wins a lot of those physical battles, like I said, very good in the air. He puts in a shift on and off the ball, which is helped even more so by the fact that he's very good at reading the game. He's very good with his position. That's why he can get so many tackles and win so many of those duels, because he knows where he needs to be. He can read the situation. Dan, it'd be the difference in quality and all-around game between Rabiot and McTominay is like night and day. Yeah, it is like night and day, and that's where I'm getting at in a little bit here, just in terms of what he does, how he instantly improves the team and stuff. Rabiot is very good in tight places or tight spaces, and his link-up play is very good as well. He's very good at this pass and move kind of link-up play in these tight-knit areas, which when you're in the Premier League and these teams are pressing all over the place, especially like well, Jurgen Klopp's not here anymore, but like Pep's side, whose aim is to win the ball back within a certain amount of seconds after losing it, needs to be able to pass and move the ball, and not, more importantly, need to be around other players who can do that as well. And so Rabiot just raises the floor in terms of United's ability to do that. When you have a player who, let's say McTominay, and this isn't me picking out, for example. So there's this, in one of these books, I can't remember which one's behind me, I have so many. In one of these books, the author discusses this concept called the O principle, right? So the O principle, what that means in this context is when you have a player's negatives, a player's limitations, they don't add up, they multiply, simply because of the fact that they impact the other players around him as well. So his teammates then have to take away from their game to make up for his limitations. And so when you have a player, let's say like McTominay, who isn't showing for the ball and making himself an option, who's not really good at dribbling or passing the ball, other teammates have to come in and take away from what they're doing, whether it's their positioning, whether it's the best skills that they have, and compensate for that. And so it's like a ripple effect. That's why it's called the O principle. When you have someone like Rabiot, a lot of that pressure is eased off because he can do a lot of things that McTominay can't. He can do a lot of things that Casemiro can't either. Casemiro can do things that he can't, vice versa. But it allows other players to play their game as well, is basically what I'm saying. Got a little off topic there for a second, but with all the McTominay talk, it's good to point out like what I think Rabiot does. And a big part of what bringing in a better player like Rabiot does when you're replacing someone like McTominay, for example, again, no offense, is it's not just what he brings himself, it's how he then eases pressure off his other teammates, So again, good at tight spaces. Remember, Xerxes likes to get involved in the build-up. He likes to drop deep. He likes to get involved as well. So Rabiot and Xerxes playing together could be really good. You get a very versatile player. He can pretty much play anywhere in the midfield. He's even played on the wing at times. He's not great on the wing, but he's played in a wider position as well. So I'm not saying that that's where we would play him. I'm saying he can do what he needs to do. What I would like to see is his yellow cards go down a little bit. He's had quite a few. I think he had like 9 yellow cards last season, like 8 and others. I think he needs to just control himself a little bit more in that regard. I think you'll probably get away with it a little bit more in the Premier League because we tend to just get super physical, and you're going to get away with a little bit more. But I'd like to see those go down a little bit. How would he fit into United? Let's say hypothetically, United signed Rabiot as a free agent. He was on about 150K a week at Juventus. So for argument's sake, let's assume he'd be on something similar at United. It's not a bad wage to take on. 150K a week is not bad. The problem is, you wonder, because you can't disregard his agent, who's his mom. You can't disregard the possibility that she might demand more. She's demanded more in the past in terms of just contract terms of play time, all this stuff. Could she demand more now? That's a little off topic, but it's something to consider. Again, not my money, so I don't care too much. I don't think 150K a week is a bad wage for a midfielder like Rabiot, especially when you're getting him for free. Again, like what I always say about free agents, there's no such thing as a free agent. You're still going to have to pay probably a sign-on fee and then obviously those wages. But that's not bad, considering what he would have cost maybe last summer when he still had a year left, or even 2 summers ago, even when he was still there. It's not a bad piece of business. So in Ten Hag's 4-2-3-1 system, which again shifts depending on possession, that's what we do. He's probably going to be one of these 2 midfielders in that double pivot. He's going to be taking up kind of that box-to-box role, or he's going to sit back if Mainu has the ball and he's moving forward, or if Mount has the ball and he's moving forward. The thing that Ten Hag likes us to do You got to be able to discern as a player when and where to go in those situations. On and off the ball, I think he suits what Ten Hag wants from his players. You know, you're able to put in a shift, but you're also able to do something with the ball at your feet. Question is he too similar to Kobbie Mainoo, or is he someone who Kobbie could learn a lot from? They have very similar play styles. Remember, we wanted that older striker for Rasmus Højlund to learn from. Could this be a similar situation? Or do you want someone with a little different profile from someone like Mainoo, someone like Ugarte, who is a ball winner, or someone like a Zubamende, who he wins the ball, but he's more of a progressive passer than a ball carrier. He's not a progressive passer in terms of he's going to be playing these line sprinting passes, but his aim when he wins the ball is to find a teammate up the pitch. So that's, you know, where Rabiot wins the ball and carries it forward. Zubamende wins the ball and passes it forward. Where Ugarte just wins it and then finds a teammate with it real quick. He doesn't want anything else to do with it. What kind of midfielder would you guys prefer? What we got here, Danny? Even 200K isn't bad, says Danny B. If we clear Casemiro out, who on 250 to 300. Yeah, I think a big part of it is going to be what happens with Casemiro. You know, some people will look at Rabiot and they'll say, well, Ineos criticized the Casemiro deal, and he's, you know, was similar age, late 20s. Casemiro was not a free agent. Casemiro was on significantly more than Rabiot is. And Rabiot probably, we're not going to probably put Rabiot on a long contract like we did to Casemiro. Casemiro was probably, like, if there was a textbook on the good and bad, like, transfer negotiations, Casemiro would probably be a textbook example of what not to do in terms of a transfer. That's nothing against Casemiro the player, because I thought his first season he was great for us. It's just everything about that transfer on paper from a financial standpoint. And again, I'm a fan, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I'm saying, like, you have to also consider that perspective. That was not great. And then he says that Zubamende, Alan Varela would be my picks. I love Alan Varela. I loved him when he was at Boca. I remember saying, you know, a couple of videos ago, I watched a lot of Boca because I wanted to see how Alan Varela was playing. Then he went to Porto. I think Alan Varela is awesome. I think he was really good in Champions League this last season as well. He is just a force. He's still very young. I really like Alan Varela a lot. It's a good shout, Danny B. I haven't seen that. I think there were whispers that we were linked with him a few years ago, but I haven't seen anything since. But he is very good. I thought I saw that Liverpool were linked with him last season, but who knows? In terms of Rabiot, getting back to Rabiot. So if Casemiro leaves, you'd have to think that Rabiot kind of automatically starts, right? He's better than McTominay, arguably better than Mount as well. And that's up to you guys if you agree with that. I think he's better than Mount personally. He offers much more output, I think, than both as well in terms of McTominay and Mount. He's experienced. He's hardworking. You know, he covers every blade of grass. He doesn't hide from the game, kind of like what McTominay gets criticized for sometimes. He can be trusted to dictate possession and progress the ball. He can be trusted to basically grab the game by the scruff of the neck. The question is, can he do it on a consistent enough basis? Because we saw it against the Netherlands, for instance, in the Euros, but in the next game against Austria, it wasn't. To be fair, France were not great. And to be fair to Austria, they were very good in this tournament. He can be relied upon to recover. His ball recoveries are outstanding. He wins those headers. Again, something that we struggle with. He gets a lot of touches in the opposition box. When you see that, so he had 8 goals in the 2022-23 season, which is his best season. 8 of those goals were from inside the box, and half of those were headers. So he's winning the ball in the box, he's getting in the air, and he's scoring header goals. Like that's immense for that would be great for us. I think we don't do that enough. I'd like to see us do more of that. What up, Dark Crow? So a lot of people are still a little wary of his past disciplinary issues and his issues with the French team. I think it's fair to look back at that and say, well, might have attitude problems. That was a while ago. The most recent instance, you know, in that 2018 was like 5 years ago now. So a while ago. People can change. People can grow up. People can mature. And most importantly, they can learn from the decisions that they make. And I think that that's probably the most important thing about mistakes is what you learn from them. If Rabiot, and maybe more importantly, if his mother/agent can be done with all the drama, can maybe get it more realistic. I mean, I get it. You back your client, you back your son. It is what it is. This is why I would never have a family member as an agent if I were a professional footballer, but that's just me. If that's all behind him, if they're done trying to just demand these crazy things, sometimes if he's done with all that, then it's almost a no-brainer. The kind of brilliant piece of business that picking Rabiot up on a free would be this summer. Again, especially if we lose, because that you could still, let's say you sell Casemiro and you sell McTominay as well. All profit. You can get Ugarte and Rabiot for pretty much what you're getting to sell McTominay. That on paper, from Ineos' perspective, from a financial perspective, is just like that's the easiest tap in you could ever have almost. Again, he improves the starting 11 instantly. As someone said in a live chat the other day, I can't remember who it was. Remind me if it's you. You know, maybe a 2-year contract with an option for a third would be ideal. Again, being a free agent, it's pretty much up to him what club who's interesting can offer the most interesting package. What does Darko have to say? Rabiot and Bruno will clash, as both have an ego. You think Bruno has an ego? I think Rabiot has had some issues in the past. Like I've said, I don't think it helps when your mom is your agent. I think that can kind of muddy the waters a little bit in terms of the kind of things you're getting put in your ear. I'm not saying she's a bad person or anything. I'm just saying, like, you know, sometimes this is why, like, people who go to American Idol auditions who aren't good singers get there, because friends and family are not ready to tell them the hard truth and tell them, like, bro, singing's not for you. And they get there and they're embarrassed. Well, you have to surround you, and I've said it many times, you have to surround yourself with people who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And maybe it's moms love their sons, moms, agents are going to back their clients. It's normal. I think that combining the two when you're an agent is a little iffy, though. Katie, appreciate the support, man, getting everybody involved. Danny B, yeah, said the same. Sean, 2-year deal. Yeah, 2-year deal with an option for a third could be ideal because you're getting him for free. Let's say even if you sign him and it goes pear-shaped after a season or so, maybe he's a flop, maybe he's having issues, doesn't want to be, who cares? You could still maybe sell him. Maybe a Saudi club will come in and you're going to make some money. Like, it's not that big a deal. So again, if you want to look at it from that perspective, again, we're fans, so the money isn't that important for us, but some people like to use that. And so that's my deep dive on Rabiot. Very good ball progressor with his dribbles, very good at winning aerial duels, very good in the tackle, box to box, good leader on the pitch. Obviously had some drama in the past with Didier Deschamps, some drama with PSG. He wasn't the only player at PSG to have that kind of situation. Remember, Mbappe was suspended as well. Would you want him at United as a free agent? You know, how do you think you'd fit in? I've kind of given my opinion on that, but obviously, like I've said many times, I'm here mostly to hear your opinion. So I'll let you guys kind of fill in the live chat with some of your thoughts on that. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's come up today, maybe get your thoughts on moving forward. Because we did get some reports from James Ducker with the Telegraph that we were again interested in Martin Zubimendi. Remember, we were linked with him before. I think Arsenal linked with him before as well. What do you think about Zubimendi? If we do see some more reports on Zubimendi, some closer links, maybe, you know, we're talking to the agent, personal terms are not a problem. Do you want me to do a deep dive video on Zubimendi? I think it could be fun. I've already kind of given you a little bit of an insight. He's like Rabiot, he wins the ball, but unlike Rabiot, he's a passer and not just he's not going to carry it as much. He's 25 now. I think it'd be 26 this season, Zubimendi. So again, you're getting someone who's a little bit more experienced, who isn't, you know, gonna one for development. So whether or not you like that or not, it is what it is. I've said many times we need a healthy balance of experienced leaders in the dressing room and, you know, these young players who maybe have really high ceilings, really high potential, who are up and coming. I think that you need a good balance of both. We had that in all these United sides when we've had them. Famously, that 99 side had a brilliant mix of experience and the class of 92 in it. We need that stuff. Danny B says Zubimendi is not leaving Spain. You don't think so? I remember seeing some links with Barcelona, but who else? Where else do you think he would go in Spain? I mean, the only 3 maybe step ups would be Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, didn't they just bring in Vermeeren mid-season, who's a similar position to Zubamendi? Barcelona are skint, and Real Madrid have their midfield is pretty stacked. So if you don't think he's going to leave Spain, I mean, what does that mean? What do you think? What do you think the future holds for Zubamendi? He's not really going to win a whole lot with Sociedad, if I'm honest. But yeah, he said he's staying where he is. Again, we're linked with him. A lot of clubs have been linked with him. I really like Zubamendi. I've liked him for a few years now. He's like the links to Zubamendi from just interest from other clubs kind of come and go in the last couple of years. But you're saying he's given interviews. Yeah, if it's an interview, with any sort of Spanish outlet, there's not much that I'm going to know about that because I don't like watch La Liga like religiously. I've watched a couple more Atletico Madrid matches when they signed Vermeeren just to see how he's doing to step up. But maybe you watch a little bit more. Arsenal, Barca, kind of maybe he was leaving. So, yeah, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a deep dive on Zubamendi. And that's, again, if the links increase a little bit. Sorry, I just had to respond to a text message real quick. That was rude, but it was an important text message. So, and also this morning, there was a little bit of an update regarding Ugarte that came out just before I went live. So speaking to Watch Playback, Fabrizio Romano actually reportedly said that Ugarte has informed PSG that he wants to join United. So again, similar to what we've been hearing, personal terms aren't an issue and stuff. He wants to join United. Go check out my Manuel Ugarte deep dive video if you want to learn a little bit more about what he offers. And we're also apparently looking at Arsenal Academy striker Cheeto Obi-Martin, who apparently has turned down a new contract with the Gunners. So again, making some moves this summer, looking at these young players who have some bright futures. We've been linked to a lot of really young players. Anselmino, Naipan, these guys we've been linked with, and now we've got another one coming through. We do have Rangers in a few hours in our second stop on our preseason tour, like I said. So Lenny Yoro is actually in the squad for this one, which could be interesting. Maybe we'll get to see a glimpse of what he can do in a United shirt already. Again, it's preseason. Temper your expectations. This is basically training for us. We're getting fit. We're getting a look at some youngsters, and then that's trying as the first team players are getting back with the squad after the tournaments and stuff. They'll be kind of mixed in just to get fitness back up. But no Xerxes in the squad, so not him yet. I think he's taken his vacation right after coming back from the Euros and signing for us and everything. I think he's earned that. So I'm also going to be doing these giveaways again. So if you remember, we have this pre-match top from last season. This is a men's medium, that black one with like the blue and the white flex. And then we have this one, which is, again, it's a medium. They're both brand new. They both have tags. This is a iron-on patch, not a sewn-on patch, so it's legit. Both brand new, both mediums, both yours. But for this time, I think to get a little easier, leave a comment on the video if you're interested in these giveaways. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on anything that has to do with United, anything in the video. Let me know if you just don't agree with anything I've said. That's fine too. That's okay. But jump in on the comments if you guys want to be interested, because the people aren't emailing me who are winning them. Maybe they're just not following up on the videos. That's fine too. But I want to make sure, show my appreciation and getting these out to people who are in support and who are interacting and things. So get involved in the comments and we'll go from there. Danny B, Sean, do you play fantasy? I used to do so. I tried fantasy NFL a while back, obviously fantasy football. The cognitive dissonance is a little difficult for me when it comes to fantasy sports. I did do fantasy Premier League for a little bit, but there's two things that kill it for me. It's, again, the cognitive dissonance, and when you're not playing with people who actually like care and keep up with it, which can kill it very, very quickly, right? I can't, because you're limited on like players. If it were up to me, I would just sign all United players, but you can't. And so I'm sitting here hoping that a player on my fantasy team does well, like if they're from a rival or if they're playing United. So like that mental dissonance is, I can't handle it. Maybe I'm just not smart enough, or maybe I don't have those well-established mental emotional boundaries. I don't know, but I can't. The closest thing I've done to fantasy is just a Super Brews score predictor. I do that pretty much every year for a couple different leagues. It's free. You just sign up, make an account, join a couple of the leagues, and then you just guess. You predict the scores of the matches on a given weekend. They have some for Champions League, Europa League as well. You win a minimum amount, you get like a free shirt. You get all of them, you get a ton of money. I think the closest I ever got was like I had like 5 or 6 correct, exactly predicted, and I just missed out on getting the free jersey. So it's fun, it's free, it is what it is. But other than that, I can't get involved. Are you a fantasy sports guy, Danny B? KD? Oh yeah, I've hated watching Obi Martin in an Arsenal shirt, killing it and scoring for fun in academy matches will be such a great steal. He's their best prospect since Fabregas. Yeah, I've heard he was pretty much one of their best like top scorers, something in the youth Premier League, right? Is that correct? I don't get as much access to. Again, it's Arsenal, so I don't really watch a ton of that stuff. Danny B, I love fantasy Premier League, big hobby for me. Maybe I could get back into it again. It's just that dissonance that kills it for me, right? I can't want a rival player to do well just because it helps my fantasy team. It feels weird to me, right? It feels like I got to take a shower after that. But KD used to feel like that at the beginning, but one of the years I've been able to separate the issues, especially when it's against United. Danny B on Obi Martin. Watched little clips of him last night, and he looks fire. Yeah, let me know. I'll be honest. I haven't watched enough. I know that you saw yesterday we were getting linked with him, and then I saw today, and a lot of people seem really excited about this kid. So who knows? We have a good track record with identifying these young players and basically stealing them from other teams. Even people like Garnacho wasn't someone we raised from like 6 or 7. We got him from Atletico Madrid's academy when he was like 15 or 16. Which is just fine. I don't have a problem with that. We're still developing them. They still count as homegrown at that point as well. So let's do that. If someone's not going to sign a new contract with Arsenal, swoop in, grab him, bring him to Old Trafford, and let him develop, and let him be the next, Mainu, next Garnacho, next Rashford. Who knows? Danny B, new rules now allow up to 5 transfers, better for the casuals. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of things just in life getting better for the casuals, like video games, like the popularity of these casual like party games like Fortnite and whatnot. Very, very just for the casual kind of thing. A lot of like, and that's fine. I'm old school, and a lot of video games that I grew up really liking were like RPGs that you spent like 70 hours playing and stuff. I'll play a lot of FC24 now as well, just because I do like the scouting and the youth academy. I hire 3 academy scouts, and I'm very meticulous with my scouting, and I'm trying to get whenever I do a career mode, I try to rely on that as well. But I do enjoy it. It does get a little boring. The replay in like these FIFA games is not very high. The most you can do is just like, let's try a different team or something, but it is what it is. Danny B says Obi scored 10 goals against Poole, I heard. Well, I've heard enough at that point. If you score 10 goals against Liverpool, sign him up. And don't forget to drink your Scouse Tears energy drink. Check out all the flavors. So remember that one. Yeah, you score 10 goals against Liverpool, give him a contract, $300K a week, make it happen. That's all I need to hear. You guys watching the Rangers match in a couple hours? I will be doing that later on today. I'm going to run out to the farmer's market, grab some produce, grab a few things, and walk the dogs, and then sit down and watch that. So, yeah, KD remembers Scouse Tears energy drink. Remember all the flavors. Can you remember the flavors that they come in? I'll let you see if you can remember them. Matata United liked and subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate the support. It's a lot of rambling, a lot of ranting. Today was another one of these deep dives on Adrien Rabiot. Let me know your thoughts on him as a free agent. I'll leave the live chat open for a few more minutes. Let me check and just see if there's any other breaking news or advancements going on today before I dip out and let you guys get on with your weekends. Not a whole lot going on. Graham Bailey is reporting that in some discussions that United have had with some Saudi Pro League clubs regarding Casemiro, that Antony apparently also came up in those conversations, and there's interest from the Saudi clubs in Antony apparently. And that's according to Graham Bailey just now. So you guys open to selling Antony if a right offer comes in? I mean, I think that people would probably pay to have Antony leave, if I'm honest. Nothing personal. I gave him the first year. I gave him the second year because we like to give people time, and it's not that he's garbage. He's another one of those players who doesn't look like a good fit for the Premier League. Just doesn't do enough. Props for his tenacity. He does, press, and he does try to win the ball. He does contribute off the ball, unlike Rashford, for instance, but he just doesn't, just not quite up to it. And that's fine. It happens. Not every transfer works out. Anthony's always going to be one of those things that people stick to hit Ten Hag with. They're going to throw that transfer fee at Ten Hag, and it's not Ten Hag's fault, but it is what it is. I've said many times, Ten Hag identified Antony in June when he was like 35 million. United decided to wait until August, and Ajax upped their price, and there's nothing you could do. It's either now you don't get any players or you get Antony and miss out on another signing because he's more than twice as much. So it is what it is. Like I said, I've watched Ajax for many years. Antony was very good at Ajax, but maybe, again, it's just the step up, just too big for him. Katie, really wish Antony could find his Ajax CL form. He was really good at Ajax. He definitely looked a little bit more confident in Ajax. He was taking people on more often than not in and around the opposition area. At United, he just never looks totally confident all the time. He was doing the trickery at first, and then he got found out, and it's like now he's scared to do it, and he takes it, and he'll carry the ball, he'll stop, and then he'll just pass it back to someone else, or he'll cut in and shoot right at the keeper. And it's unfortunate. I think with Antony, it's a confidence thing. I think it's all mental for Antony, because I do think he has the talent. I just don't think that he is backing himself in these situations. But it is what it is. Coaches aren't psychics. They can't control players. They can't mind read. They can't change that kind of thing. I wish that were possible. It'd make my job as a therapist a lot easier sometimes, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but that's just a little bit of an update. That's going to do it for me today. Like I said, I got a few things going on. I will be watching that Rangers match. Again, watching the preseason friendlies. It's about getting fit. It's about getting a look at these young players. It's about first teamers coming back from their break and getting fit again. So don't put too high expectations. I know a lot of people were freaking out after the Rosenborg loss. It's just about getting fit. All right. Don't pay attention to headlines. Don't worry about any of that. Just watch it, enjoy it, get a glimpse at these young players, and maybe today we'll get a glimpse at Lenny Yoro because he is with the squad. But thankfully, we got the season actually starts. The Premier League season starts in a few weeks, guys. Wrap your heads around that. That's insane. We'll be starting mid-August, so that's so funny to me. Danny B, hopefully he'll learn how to use his right foot over the summer. Yeah, I doubt it. He hasn't in 2 years. I think he did score with his right foot last season, which honestly, was shocking. And to be fair to Antony, I always love him for that goal against Barcelona in the Europa League that sent us through to the next round. I was at a restaurant watching that on my computer because we lost power, so I had to go. I was waiting for that result because of that season, that result would dictate whether or not I was going to be able to go to a Europa League match on top of a Premier League match when I went to England that first time. And so he scored. I freaked out in the restaurant. Everybody else around me freaked out because they had no idea what was going on. But yeah, that meant I got to go to Real Betis as well as Southampton that season. So that was awesome. So Antony, big up for that. But other than that, it's not been going well. So in any case, Manu Latata, should managers be lying to their fans through the press? What do you mean? Give me an example of who's lying to their fans through the press. What are you talking about? KD was telling that there was no coverage or meltdown in the media after Liverpool lost to Preston in their first preseason game. Yeah, I mean, it's academic at this point, when it comes to the media. I posted a tweet last night from criticizing The Athletic. So The Athletic, when we signed Euro, it's always the headlines were, why are we paying this much? A 18-year-old with barely 60 matches, why did no one else want to buy him? But when City signed Savio for this low fee, it's a brilliant piece of business. Come on. Athletic is literally twerking for the cheats, and they again just another Athletic is turning in just another Abu outlet that just can't stand United doing well. So no one wants to talk about the fact that Savio is coming from the City Group owned club that they very likely, did not pay what they needed to, and it is what it is. Manlu Tata says Eric Ten Hag lied so much. Well, I mean, again, you're saying there's lies, but you're not giving me the examples of what the lies are. I think that when it comes to press conferences, I've said it many times, you can't read too much into what managers say in press conferences. And a perfect example of this is like Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, I don't like Jose Mourinho, but to his credit, he did protect a lot of his players. Jose Mourinho, like, he tended to come into a club almost like a prisoner going into prison. You pick out one person, and that's like the person you're going to target. And he does that a lot of clubs. But Jose Mourinho was famous for deflecting from and shifting the focus from player performance and deflecting from that. And that's part of the tactics. Manu says, Manu Tata says it's because Man City a well-run club and we were run badly. I mean, Man City, to be fair to Man City, they've done a lot to build the infrastructure of their club, but it's a question of what you mean by well-run. Is it the means to an end, or is it how you get there? So how City are reporting a lot of those finances is up for debate on whether or not that's well-run. A lot of people will look at the end product and say, well, that justifies it. A lot of people don't feel that way. It's not up to me. It's up for the court of arbitration to decide, hopefully this season. Katie, yes, sad that the Athletic is starting to fall into the anti-United crap. They're one of the better ones, home of Ornstein. Yeah, and it is unfortunate. You could rely on Ornstein to at least kind of be a little more objective, but it's just, again, it's media's full of Abus. We ruined a lot of childhoods, and it is, unfortunately, at least it has been in the last decade or so, low-hanging fruit to basically bash United. The problem is now that Eric Ten Hag has come in, he's won trophies and he's done well. It's becoming more and more shameless and transparent when people like Craig Burley, Stevie Nicol, Sammy Luckhurst, now the Athletic, Sky, and everybody now, like, people are starting to see through it now. And it's just, and when that happens as an outlet, as a journalist, you have to kind of read the room and take a step back and say, all right, no one's buying into that anymore. Like, but they don't, they double down, and it just makes them look ignorant. It makes them look, just in the case of like Craig Burley and Stephen Nicol, or even the guys on Sirius XM, Rodney Marsh, Tommy Smith, it makes it look like they have no idea what they're talking about. It makes it look like they've done zero research. It makes it look like they are just almost ancient in some ways, kind of old-fashioned in their mindset. So it is a little rough. You can't run Man City's buys. They have a good record. You can't question Man City's. Nicol and Burley Danny B agreed. Yeah, Nicol, Stevie Nicol, Greg Burley is just, you can almost tell from both of those guys when they're watching, especially like in that FA Cup quarterfinal against Liverpool last year. You can tell that there's so much that they want to yell and complain and whine about, but they know that they can't because they literally have nothing. And in Stevie Nicol's case, it's just a big old bottle of these Scouse tears. You'll always cry alone. That's their motto. Danny B rather listen to Alexi Lalas than their clowns. Yeah. Some of the coverage for the Euros was not great. Like Landon Donovan, I didn't think was a great commentator. He was basically twerking for Phil Foden every time I watched England play, and Foden was not doing anything. Foden was almost a ghost for most of the latter part of that tournament. But Donovan was just happy to twerk. It is what it is. But in any case, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate the interaction. Appreciate the new subscribers. I do love that. Remember, get involved in the comments. Leave a comment if you guys want to be considered for these giveaways. I have no problem shipping these anywhere, so jump on that. Again, it's about me showing my appreciation for you guys getting involved, helping the channel grow, and giving your feedback. Like I said, I care more about hearing your guys' thoughts on these things than just giving my own. I don't want to be a bumper sticker, right, where you just throw your idea out there and then you drive off. I want some engagement, some interaction. I welcome the differing views. I love it. That's why we're here, right? So cheers, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the match if you guys are watching it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks. Take it easy.